You know, Andy, anytime we get to have this discussion about how to discover your story and sell signature selling style, man, for those folks that are really looking to make sure that they can connect with their audience, for those folks that are making sure that they can communicate their message, and for those folks, Andy, that are really ready to have more meaning in the world, this is the fastest, easy way to do it, man. Why did you decide to get this show up to kind of make sure that we talk about this?
Man, you know, first of all, I had so much fun last time we got together, Shay, and I also got so much feedback from folks that said, man, I caught the session between you and Shay. I got so much value, and these two skill sets really go hand in hand. You think about it, you know, being great at being able to enroll people in sales, and such a significant, important part of enrollment in sales is being great at being able to actually tell and share stories. So as you know, right, you being the king of sales, you know, a lot of times people get caught up when they're doing sales. They're just trying to talk about their product. They're talking about the service. They're talking about the features, right? They're talking about how many, if they're coaches, they're talking about how many modules and how they're going to link up with people, the platform that they're using. But we know at the end of the day, that's not really why people buy, right? They buy because they see the value. They buy because there's some type of emotional connection. And one of the things that really helps them to do that is the story. And so I think that, you know, there's a lot of times when you have an opportunity to have dialogue with folks, what both of your topics are important, but they don't necessarily intertwine. In our case, both our topics are important and they intertwine. You got sales, you got stories, right? If you want to get better at sales, you better make sure you get better at being able to share and tell stories, right? And the other thing is, if you really do the stories right, it's going to help you to really improve your sales. So why not us have this conversation together and be able to bring value for both of our communities and for other people who may perhaps it's their first time even hearing about Shay Brown or Andy Henriquez. I'm excited, man, to just get back into this conversation. And, you know, hey, man, I got to ask you, Shay, what's up, man? I mean, are you excited or what?
Man, you know, I'm super pumped, Andy. And one of the reasons I'm super pumped is that a number of folks are tired when it comes to selling, having this resistance. And the reason they have a resistance, Andy, is that they're like, you know what, Shay, I don't want to sound like my coach, right? Or I don't want to sound like a woman because they said this. And I don't want to read any script, Andy, because when I do that, I feel like I'm unauthentic. And what I discovered in my journey, Andy, is that folks didn't really have this whole disdain around selling, like selling, and start throwing up. They didn't really have that. What they had was this whole notion of being someone that they weren't. At the end of the day, they said, Shay, how can I be myself? Shay, how can I be authentic? Shay, how can I be transparent? And Shay, how can I help people solve a problem through a conversation? And I said, well, first you need to learn your own signature stories because you can tell stories as you're talking. And then you need to be able to make sure, Andy, that you're speaking the language of your prospect. And so there's something called buyer's profile, Neuro-Linguistic Sales. But first, how do you sell yourself? And on my journey, Andy, I didn't learn that. In the beginning, Andy, I was just like one of my mentors. No, seriously. No, I'm telling you, I didn't know how to sell like myself. So I went out and I spent $5,000 on this package. Hear me, guys, hear me. And then I come back. And for 3 years, I know, 3 years, Andy, I sounded just like my coach. And sometimes I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm saying the same words, but I sounded like him, but I didn't feel like I was me. He has a different style. He has a different voice. His signature selling style is different than mine, but what he was doing was working. So I said, well, if it's working, it's got to be doing it. But I didn't feel like I was myself. And I said, if I was myself, how would I communicate someone that there's a problem, and how would I share with them that I could solve it, Andy? Because it wasn't about the money, Andy. It was about having more meaning in the world. And it wasn't, Andy, about the income that I was making. It felt good. It always felt good to make income. For all you folks that are out there and you're like, yeah, you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner and you know it feels good to get some income, look below the video, just drop a number 1. That's right, just drop a number 1. Like look below the video right now and type number 1. Number 1 is a signal that it feels good to serve, it feels good to help, but it also feels good to have impact. And if that's you, that's what learning your signature story is going to be about. Is what learning your signature selling style is going to be about. Is these styles that are already naturally you, but you never knew it. Like I didn't know it. And until we went out and created it, it didn't exist. So Andy, I'm excited because we're gonna, if I can tell you guys for a minute, we're gonna pull back the big black curtain, if I can say that. We're gonna reach into our treasure chest of secrets. Yeah, there's some secrets down here, and Andy's gonna unload them all, and I'm gonna share them with you, and it's gonna help you. This is amazing. Lean in, everybody lean in, and say yes! If you're like me, put a thumbs up. Just give me a thumbs up right now. Say, thumbs up, Shay. See, I can see you doing that. Andy, take a moment if you would, and then kind of frame the conversation, because what we did was very similar to how we went behind the scenes and we kind of created it. And I know you talked about personality types and so forth. So take a moment, tell them, how you put together story, signature selling styles. And as he's telling you this, just know I did just about the same thing, right? I mean, the same type of research and working with folks to pull it together so we can bring it to you. Take a moment, Andy, and unleash that. But before you do that, Andy, for those folks that are out there and you want to help someone else, you want to make a difference for another entrepreneur, you have my permission, you have Andy's permission, hit the share button. No, like hit right now, hit the share button. Right now, and when you hit the share button, just go ahead and write these words: serve plus add value. That's what Andy and I are going to do today. Serve plus add value. Hit the share button right now. And why would you want to do that? Because you want to help another entrepreneur that wants to have a breakthrough and be able to communicate their message. You want to help another entrepreneur that wants to help problems. Do that right now. Andy, tell them how we kind of put this whole thing together, if you would.
Well, what's interesting is I've had countless people that when they were coming to me and they said, hey, look, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, or perhaps they were in transition. And they're like, Andy, listen, I want to strengthen my message in the marketplace. Like, I'm trying to attract more people to my services. I'm trying to attract more people to my products. I am trying to attract opportunities overall. I want to increase my conversion rate. And I've been hearing about the importance of sharing and telling stories. And, I tell stories. I'm not quite sure if I do them very well or not, or I'm not telling stories at all. But I'm not quite sure exactly where to start. And so one of the things that we really focus on, specifically at my Master Storyteller Academy, Shay, is we start off first by helping people to figure out what their story is. So one of the things that folks often bring up is what we find is they normally fall in one or two categories. Either number one, they're at a place where they're like, man, I've got a lot of stories, but I have no idea in terms of all the stories that I have, which one is the story that I should start off with? Or they fall in another category where they're like, I don't think I have any stories. I don't know if I have any stories. I don't know if I tell stories, and the reason why is because they're normally comparing their story to somebody else's story. So somebody else has a heavy story. Maybe that person has gone through a difficult season in their life. Maybe they've been through, down and out. They were strung out on drugs. They had been through a really, really bad, lost everything in their business. They were practically homeless. They were born with a disease, or they were terminally ill, whatever it might be. And so they're comparing themselves to those individuals. And so what I found is that, wait a second here, we're starting off right away and we're helping people to identify what their story is. But the reality of it is, even though they may not realize it, they have been telling stories. Now, chances are they probably weren't telling stories very well, right? But they have been telling stories. And so we said, you know what? Why don't we take a step back? Instead of us going right away, helping people to develop their stories, why don't we first help them to identify the type of storyteller that they currently are right now, knowing that there's tremendous room for improvement, knowing that they absolutely need to be at my Master Storyteller Academy, but yet and still, they probably are telling stories, they probably need some help, right? But there's some things that they're doing that's probably working for them, and there's probably some things that they're doing that is also working against them. And so what we realized is that, you know what, we would probably be able to help people out so much better, specifically when it comes to the area of storytelling, if we could get them to first identify what their natural storytelling style is, then be able to highlight for them the benefits of that style, and then also the places that they can actually improve. And I remember, Shay, when you and I were having a conversation, you were like, man, this is crazy, because this is really like a similar approach that you took from the sales aspect, because a lot of people, when they're coming to you, Shay, they want to up-level their sales. But what they don't realize is that they've probably been selling. They probably were selling completely wrong, but they've been selling, right? And so you were like, man, Andy is crazy. I remember we were having a conversation. You're like, dude, I did the exact same thing, just like where I came up with the signature, storytelling styles. You're like, man, dude, I already have something just like that, but mine is the signature selling styles. And so I was like, man, how awesome is it that we have this great dialogue, and we realize that there are so many similarities, but we're like, man, why don't we have this dialogue so that other people could benefit from this conversation?
Absolutely.
Where they can identify, number one, their signature storytelling style, and then also identify their signature selling style. And of course, knowing the way that me and you roll, we're going to give them an opportunity, number one, to be able to identify what their style is themselves, so that they can identify what their signature storytelling style is, so that they can also identify what their signature storytelling style is. But then the other part that's really cool about that is that we are also going to give them access to some pretty cool free training. So I do want to tell you this. You are in the right place if you're tuned in for this conversation. We're going to make sure when we dive in, you're going to make sure you grab a notepad, grab a pen. We're going to be sharing some things with you fairly quickly, but you want to take advantage of everything that we're sharing, because I believe that something amazing happens when you get the awareness. It's so critical that you become aware of, where are you right now when it comes to your sales, and where are you right now when it comes to your ability to be able to share a powerful message through a story. So first you got to identify what you currently are doing, so then there's room for improvement. We talk about it all the time. How does the GPS work? First, it's got to identify where you are before, of course, it can take you to your destination.
Absolutely. Now, here's the big promise today. The big promise today is that you're going to learn at least some story signature selling styles, and you're also going to learn selling signature selling styles. And then the big, bold promise is at the end, you also have a way to learn your signature selling style and your story selling style. Now, let me go ahead and just say this if I can, Andy, then we're going to kick off with the very first one. Nidra, hope I got that right, is out there, dropped the number one. Hey, what's going on, Eldar Barnes? Thanks a lot, by the way. William Thomas, is always a pleasure. Gwendolyn's in the house. Carol, you're always here. Here's what I want you to know. And I'm going to share with you the number one reason why we're doing this today, right? And number one reason I want you to learn your, turn this way, I think it's trying to get focus on the paper, is two things. Let me go ahead and show you. Number one is that selling is power. Just like telling your story is power. So when you understand your story, you understand how to sell, you understand how to what? Serve. So selling is power. The second thing behind that, and this is something that it came up by accident, Andy. I was at a group and I was talking and I was speaking and I was talking about the power of learning your signature selling styles. And one of the things I said to him in that very moment, I said, look, Andy, look, scripts are for actors and you are not an actor. So you don't want to act when you're telling your story. You don't want to act when you're selling. Scripts are for actors. And you are not an actor. Be yourself. Someone do me a favor. Take a picture of that. And look right below the video and put scripts are for actors. Be yourself. And that's what they wanted at the end of the day. They wanted to be themselves. They wanted to learn how to sell like you. That's what I want you to learn how to sell like you. Learn how to tell your story just like you. Not like Andy. Not like Lisa Nichols. Not like Lisa Sashovich. Not like Les Brown. You're going to learn how to tell your story just like you, and you're going to learn how to sell just like you. And at the end of the day, isn't that what you want? You want to be authentic? I hear you out there. You want to be natural? I hear you out there. And you want to be transparent? I hear you. So I'm going to ask Andy to kick off and tell us, what's one of the story signature selling styles. And then when he finishes that, I'm going to share at least one of the signature selling styles. And I want you to know, as I'm telling you this, we get it. Okay, that, there's always one personality type that weighs harder. So that's, you probably have your primary and you have a secondary. So as you're listening, listen to the ear that what's my primary? And then yes, I might have some secondaries, but pay very close attention, because you may not know this and it's not your fault. It's because no one was teaching it to you. No one taught it to me because we created it. No one taught it to Andy because, well, he created it. For you and for me. So Andy, take it away if you would.
I love it, man. But let me say this, man. It's so funny you talk about the scripts are for actors. You know, at my Master Storyteller Academy, sometimes when folks are thinking about enrolling and joining us, they're like, "Oh yeah, so am I? Is it going to be like a script for me to tell my story?" And I said, incorporate writing in the process of you pulling the story out, developing the story, and so forth. But no, we do not want you reading a script, right? You're a
Right.
human being. You got to connect with another human being. And I always remind them when they're workshopping the process of putting their story together, I always remind them, Shay, like everything on your paper came out of you. So why would you have to read it off when you're the one who put it on your notepad? Like every
Yeah.
time they start that process and they start writing their stories down, I have to remind them, you wrote that story down on a piece of paper. So why would you then need to memorize something that was already inside of you? So our job is to get you to practice so that you can get better at it. So let's get into these different storytelling styles. So there's 5 different storytelling styles. And the first one I'm going to refer to, now I want you to write this down. You know, one of our good friends always used to say, hey, note takers are money makers. Note takers are money makers. I want you to drop that in the chat. Note takers are money makers. So one thing I would advise you to do is go ahead and take a lot of notes because we're going to be sharing a lot of information with you in a relatively short amount of time. And so the first storytelling style that I want to introduce to you is what we refer to as the marketer, AKA the open loop storyteller. I'm going to say that one more time. The marketer, AKA the open loop storyteller. Now, here's the thing. When I was growing up as a little boy, you know, my aunts and my brother, they used to watch these soap operas on television. Y'all remember them soap operas, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, right? All My Children. I know I'm dating myself, but those were the soap operas. And I just didn't understand how, like, 5, 10 years later, I would check in, go visit one of my aunts, and then they would say, oh, Andy, I got to go watch my soap opera. I'd be like, what? How is the soap opera still going on 5, 10 years later? Well, what the soap opera does is very similar to what the open loop storyteller does, very similar to what the marketer does. They're great at starting a story, getting your intention, getting you enrolled in the story, however, not fully closing the story out. So they leave the story open. Now, let me tell you, from a marketing standpoint, that really benefits you. So if you are perhaps sending out an email, you enroll people into the story, and then you want them to finish reading the email at your blog, that's a great strategy. If you also are somebody that maybe perhaps you're doing a multiple part session, you start a story, you purposely leave it open, you get to the next. However, if you are looking to really convey a powerful point to an audience, or you're really to convey a really powerful point to a prospect, it may actually work against you that you have opened this great story up, but you didn't quite complete it. Because what happens is if they feel a lack of completion there, then it may make them feel as if they don't have enough information to make a decision. And we want people to have enough information to make a decision. When Shay talks a little bit later, he's going to let you know that one of the things that's critical in sales is that a confused mind does nothing. Also, when somebody feels as if they don't have enough information to make a decision, then they'll keep from making a decision. So what I want you to think about this is that for the open loop storyteller, or what we refer to as the marketer, the cool thing that I like about them is that they're great at starting stories. They're great at grabbing people's attention. However, one of the places where there's room for improvement is making sure that they really tighten things up and close the story out. And that's super critical for those of us that are communicators, that are trying to convey great content to people and trying to transfer awesome knowledge, is that we've got to be able to wrap up a thought so that people feel as if like, oh, okay, totally got that. And we don't want them feeling frustrated, like, man, he started a great story and then he didn't finish it, or she started telling me something and she didn't finish it, right? So the first one is what we refer to as an open loop storyteller, AKA the marketer. Now, I want to make sure you know something. As Shay and I sort of go back and forth and we share these things, don't freak out, because we're going to both tell you exactly how you can take a quick quiz so that you can figure out what your storytelling style is, and so that you can also figure out what your signature storytelling style is. So don't freak out. We're explaining them to you now, and then you're going to be able to take a quick quiz, a free quiz. Everybody say free. Drop free down in the comment, right? You're going to take a free quiz so that you can figure out. So that's the first one I want to open up with. The marketer. One more time. Write this down. Marketer, a.k.a. open loop storyteller. Great at grabbing people's attention. Great at getting people enrolled. However, tends to leave the tail end of the story open, and that sometimes works against them. I'm gonna kick it back over to you, my man Shay.
You know,
so, Shay, why don't you tell us? I know you're gonna go into something, but I know you have multiple different selling styles, and you guys are gonna have to be able to switch your brains back and forth. But these go hand in hand, and I can't wait for you to go ahead and lay one out for us, Shay. So I'm just curious which one you're gonna start off with. I switched it up this time. I decided to start with the open loop, the marketer. So I'm curious to know who you're going to start off with this time. But it looked like you were going to say something else.
No. I'll come back to it. I'm going to start off, Andy. For those folks out there, do me a favor. Put down right below the comments. Put down marketer, put down marketer dash story signature style. So that's just one. So to put one and then put marketer signature story selling style. Put that right below, please. Put that right below, please. Now, I'm going to share, Andy, you're right, on our side, there's 7 signature selling styles. I'll get through a couple of them today that I'm going to make sure that you kind of get hand in hand. And I know some of you are going to want this chart and stuff later. When you take the quiz, you'll get it. When we listen, all 7 signature selling styles. But I want to start, Andy, with the first one, which I think goes hand in hand with the marketer. I really do, because the first one is the intuitive signature selling style. Now, the reason I'm kind of walking y'all by this, and I want you to know this, is that it's very important. And in fact, the intuitive, they use intuition to drive people to action. They use intuition to drive people to action. So let me just tell you what I mean by that, if I can. Give me a second. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So if you're out there right now, and if you can see me, if you're out there right now, you can see me. I want you to write down, put up the top, put intuitive, and then what I want you to put here, and I want you to write this right now, and just put this way. You use intuition to drive action. Now, this is very important, because when you're dealing with the intuitive signature selling style, when you're dealing with them, one of the things that I like about them is that they're able to go into a meeting, Andy, and they don't have to worry about being prepared, which is really cool, by the way. They can use their gut feeling. They use their intuition. They can feel the vibes. They've got this sixth sense out there. And I know some of the ladies out there, you have that sixth sense. So when you're having a conversation, you're able to adjust. And think about it. You never planned sometime before the meeting. You didn't think about what you were going to say before the meeting. Yet you showed up and you said the exact same thing at the right time. And your intuition allowed you to drive the person to action. It allowed you to share what the problem was, share that you cared, and then at the end of the day, share how you solve a problem, and that's important. Now, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. But Andy, life is full of high highs and low lows and twists and valleys and peaks and a lot of things. So the other side of the intuition, the intuitive signature selling style, here's the other side, that sometimes it just doesn't land. Because maybe something happened at home that day. Maybe they got excited and they wanted to bring certain benefits to life. They wanted to ask certain questions, but their intuition got in the way, and the radar was just off a little bit. It's like an airplane that takes off in the air. And if it's off by like 0.5% or something, it lands way over here over the course of a journey instead of way over there. And so one of the things you're going to find out, I believe, as you go through this with both Andy and I, is that, there's pluses and there's minuses. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. Now, if you believe right now, as you heard Andy talk about the marketer story telling style, if that's you, put down, I'm the marketer. If you use intuition to drive sales, your gut feeling, you can make it happen even if you never read a book, even if you're not even prepared. Put intuitive. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. Now, why did I take that time to mention intuitive signature selling style? Now, make sure you put that down. Now, please, make sure you put it down, McCrory. Make sure you put it down, Erna. Make sure you put it down, Barbara. Make sure you do it free. My mom, Dr. Jeffers, is out there. She's talking about free. Mother dear. She's watching Cammie B. Jeffers. That's hilarious. But put down intuitive signature selling style if that's you. Again, it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. So I've given you one, intuitive. You got the marketer now. I'm going to ask Andy if he'll go ahead and share another story signature selling style. As he's doing this, by the way, hit the share button if you haven't done that yet. Share this into your group. Share this on your page and help someone else that's an entrepreneur or a single mom or a single dad or a married couple that they've got to communicate. They may not be in business, but they still have to tell their story. They still have to share their thoughts. They've got to sell their ideas. And I'll close with this, Andy. I'm going to give it to you. And this is why it's important that you share it. Because even if you think you're not in sales, you think about this every single day. Ministers every week are selling faith, right? Teachers every single day are selling education. Parents, and Andy's a parent, and I'm a parent, and you watching right now, you might also be a parent. We're selling values every single day. So you're always selling your idea, you're selling your thoughts, and you're using stories to sell that, and you're learning your signature selling style so you can sell based on your DNA, based on your experience, and based on your expertise. Over to you, Andy.
Absolutely, man. So that was fantastic. And one of the things I would say to all of you who are taking notes, one of the things I would suggest is perhaps maybe you draw a T going down a piece of paper. So draw a T going down a piece of paper. On one side, I want you to go ahead and write sales.
Oh, that's good.
And on the other side, I want you to write story, because we're bouncing back and forth. And what I don't want you to do is like put them in order and be like, man, which one is sales and which one is story? So far on the sales side, you learned about the intuitive, right, signature selling style. And then on the story side, you learned about the open loop storyteller. So
is it open loop, Andy, or is it marketer?
It's the marketer, aka marketer, open loop. They're both the same, right? So we got the marketer, right, also known as the open loop storyteller on one side, right? So fantastic. And then on the other side, we have the intuitive storyteller. And then Shay, if we would, right there at the very top, over the marketing side, we'll put story on that side, right? And then we're going to go ahead and put sales on the other side. So if you're taking notes there, that way you know as we go back and forth, that way that will keep things really, really simple for you. And the reality of it is we may not get through all of them, right? So we want you to go ahead and get started, but don't worry, you're going to get all the information you need, because we're going to be sharing with you both. We're going to share with you a quiz that you can take that's going to help you to identify your signature sales style as well as your signature story style, right? So we're going to be sharing this time with you. And so thank you so much, Shay. That was fantastic, man. So I'm going to go ahead.
I got to do something fun for once while Andy was over there narrating, being the trainer. You know, he loves that stuff. Shay, put a T.
It, man. Do that. Yes, please. Put the T for me, my friend. Put the sales on the left. Put the story on the right. Yes.
Now, Andy, I don't expect to hear this at one of your classes. By the way, there was a time I was talking to Shay. He's gonna end up telling the story. Y'all know that, don't you? I had him go to the board and draw it up there.
Draw it up. Yeah. So here's the next style that I want to share with you all. And we refer to this person as the evangelist, also known as the heart-centered storyteller. I'm going to say it again. This is the evangelist, the heart-centered storyteller. Now, this storyteller is the kind of person, when they speak from the heart. They have power. They have feeling. They have conviction. This would be that person like a Martin Luther King. I don't know if you've ever heard the I Have a Dream speech, you know? And when Martin Luther King is delivering that speech, I mean, you could tell this is not a speech he's delivering from his head, but he's delivering it from his heart. I have a dream that one day my 3 little children or 4 little children, I don't know all the words, will one day live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the contents of their character, right? So when he is speaking with power and feeling and conviction. And it is why till this day, that even though Martin Luther King is no longer here, and he's made tremendous waves for all of us when it comes to race relations and the way that he just completely changed the landscape of the United States, the thing about Martin Luther King, for anybody who goes back and listens to his speeches, you can feel the words that are coming out of his mouth. You feel it, you feel it, you feel it. Now, the thing about an evangelist, however, is sometimes the evangelist is so excited. They are so into what they got to share. Sometimes they can completely lose track of time. And so I want you to imagine it's Sunday, and across the nation on Sundays, there are pastors that are on the stage that are preaching to their congregation. And many of you, if you've ever been to church, right, you have heard a pastor say, just one more minute. Just give me one more minute. Hold on. I'm gonna wrap this. Just give me another minute. We're almost done. And then it's 30 minutes later, and they're like, give me one more minute. Just give me one more minute. And then it's 1 hour later, they say, just give me one more minute. I'm almost done with this. And you're like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Like, dude, you've been saying give you one more minute for the past 45 minutes to an hour, right? And the reason why is because they are so emotionally invested in what they're talking about that they sometimes completely lose track of time. And so they have a tendency sometimes to go over and over and again. And so they can eventually end up getting people and then losing them. So for the person who is the heart-centered storyteller, that's amazing. It's awesome that you're speaking from the heart and that you're connecting with people for the heart. The only thing is, as a heart-centered storyteller, sometimes what we got to do is we got to bring in a little more structure, right? Because at some point, you got to be able to land the plane. This is what we're talking about again, right? Earlier, Shay was talking about the plane being off. I'm talking about landing the plane. Sometimes the heart-centered storyteller, you know, their plane takes off and they're excited and they're talking about their message, but they forget if a plane takes off and it never lands, it eventually will run out of fuel and it will crash and burn. And so we don't want your communication. We don't want what you have to share to crash and burn. We need what you share to land well on your prospects, on your audience. And so one of the keys for the heart-centered storyteller, the evangelist, is to make sure that they take the time to develop some structure so that they have an understanding that once they're all fired up and they take their story out there, that they know exactly how they plan to wrap things up and how they plan to tie it with a bow and actually end it, right? And so this is one of those things that's critical. So that is the heart-centered storyteller, also known as the evangelist, right? So that's going to go under the column with the story. So here's the thing. If you're a heart-centered storyteller, you know it. You know you're an evangelist. Do me a favor right now in the chat. Put it right now. Put evangelist. Like if you're like, Andy, you know, I got a part of me, Andy. I got that fire in my belly and I get to start talking and I'm telling you, I just lose track of time. And I'm telling you, I feel it, right? That's great. But we got to channel that. We got to be able to get that really, really structured. So if you know you're an evangelist, do us a favor right now in the chat, put evangelist. And I think, Shay, after you share, we'll let them know definitely exactly how you can take both of our quizzes so that you can discover what your style is as we go ahead and continue. But Shay, back over to you, man.
I mean, I like that, Andy. I love what I'm hearing, and the person getting carried away, I was thinking, man, am I the marketer? And I've gone through this so many times with you. Am I the evangelist? Is it possible, Andy, and this is just a quick question, I'm going to get into another signature selling style. Is it possible that someone could transition through different styles over the course of their career, that maybe as an early speaker, they're one way, but then maybe as they mature or get training, they transition to another way, or are they always locked into one style? And the reason I asked that question is that what we found is on the selling style, Andy, they may have their own natural way after they take the quiz of being one way, and that's fine. But what they enjoy most, and I think y'all gonna enjoy this about the story signature selling style as well, is that when you have to adjust, maybe based on the audience, maybe based on the circumstances, maybe based on what's going on, and you find yourself drifting into another style, you at least have that awareness. Doesn't mean you're being phony, doesn't mean you have to be one way. And we found that with some of our seasoned entrepreneurs. They're like, yeah, Shay, this is my natural way, but when I'm communicating this, I find myself changing a little bit, or at least being more predominant. And Andy, I'm just curious before I go to the next one real quick. Do you find that on the story selling style as well?
You know, I think it's important that we say this. You mentioned this at the very beginning, but just in case somebody's just now joining us, right?
Yeah.
So chances are, if they're joining us right now, you probably at some point or another, you've taken a personality test or you've heard of personality tests. And there's nothing different in the sense of conceptually understanding that when you take the signature storytelling style and when you also are learning the signature selling style, understand that there are different styles, and you probably have one that's more dominant, but you probably express and have some of the characteristics of more than one. So that's the first thing I think is really, really important for you to know, right? So here's the thing. I don't want you taking one of the quizzes and say, oh, well, it says I'm this, but I also think I'm this. Yes, yes. You may also be one of those other things, but you probably have one that's more dominant. So that's the thing that we want you to understand. Now, the reason why it's going to be important that you have the capacity, sometimes if you need to be able to keep in mind these different styles, not even just for yourself, but when you're speaking to an audience, is because we always are looking to best serve our prospect, best serve our audience. And if we can identify what their style is, then we can make sure that we lean a little more heavily, right? We can make sure we lean a little more heavily to what they're gonna like. So in other words, if I were gonna go speak to like evangelical church, right, I might bring a certain flavor, energy, excitement to my presentation versus if I was gonna go speak to a group of scientists, right? I know that they're gonna want a little more facts, a little more figures and so forth. So it's always important that we know. So can you switch from one to the other? Yes, you can. It does require skill though.
Absolutely.
It's not just one of those things you just say, I'm going to do it. It's going to require training, sales training, storytelling training. It is going to require some skill, but you do have the ability to switch from one to the other. And you probably have a little bit of the characteristics of more than one, and you probably have one that's more dominant. So I want to make sure I share that just so that you're not wondering, you're scratching your head. You're like, I don't know, guys. I feel like I have more than one. That's okay. That's most of us. But you probably have one that's more dominant. But it's important that you have awareness what all the styles are so that you can identify not just for yourself, but identify in others. I'm going to send it back to you, Shay.
So well said, my friend. So well said. And so let me go ahead and share the second signature selling style. I know earlier some of you were drawing a tee up that Andy talked about there. You had signature styles at top. And then you drew a T, and then on the left-hand side, you wrote down sales. The right-hand side, you wrote down story. I started off with intuitive, and then Andy started off with the marketer, which is the, you used to be able to see that far, open loop. And then he came a second one, which was the evangelist, which he just said just now, which is heart-centered. And I'm gonna share one on the other stream. And we have 7 different signature selling styles. I know Andy has 5 as well. And we'll get to as many. And in a moment, you want to hang there because you're going to be able to take this quiz. And that's going to help you identify pretty quickly who you are. Hit the share button. If you're watching right now and you haven't had a chance to do that, pay this message forward. We believe in the giver's economy. The person out gives the competition is going to out earn the competition. The person out gives the competition is going to out earn the competition. So please, please, please hit the share button right now. Hit the watch party button. Pay this message forward. Do us a favor. All right, Andy, I'm going to talk about the professor signature selling style. The professor signature selling style. Now, for some of you, as soon as I said the word professor, you're like, that's me. Oh my gosh, I didn't know what to call it. I had no idea, Shay. I'm so glad you've done it. Well, I'm glad you're here as well. I'm glad you're here as well. I couldn't think of a better place to be than right now learning your story signature selling style and your selling signature selling style so that you can serve more people, which is what you are here to do. So let me go ahead and break down, if I can, just real quickly, the professor signature selling style. Andy, I'm doing a good job, by the way, because I now have colors up here. I have colors. We're trying to be a little fancy over here. We're trying to be a little fancy. So I'm going to keep the blue.
I'm impressed, by the way. I'm impressed.
So I can keep
your white boy skills are impeccable, my man.
Thank you,
impeccable.
Thank you.
Yes. Man, I can actually read your handwriting, man. I like this. I'm proud of you, man.
Hey, man, I'm getting better. Okay, now for those folks that are out there right now, write down professor signature selling style. Professor. So you got the T, you got sales, you got story, you got a T down the middle, you got marketer, and you got evangelist, and you got intuitive signature selling style, and the professor signature selling style. So you might be wondering, Shay, please take a moment and tell me, Shay, please tell me, what in the LL Cool J is the professor signature selling style? Well, you know this is you if you're the type of person that uses learning to drive people to action. So for example, when you're having a conversation, you want to teach them not only the backstory, but teach them step by step how your product solves a problem, but you'll show them exactly how to do it. You'll walk them through it. And then you say, hey, if you want, I can do this for you. Now, I like the Professor signature selling style because we understand a basic principle. And the principle is that selling equals service. Jot that down in your notes, please. Selling equals service. Please put that in your notes right now. Selling equals service. So the professor is out there serving, and so that's pretty cool because selling really is about three things, and that's why I like the professor signature selling style. Selling is about education. How many out there agree that you have to help someone solve a problem? So you've got to first educate them that this problem even exists and how it impacts them. And that's what we're doing today. We're saying, well, if you had stories, that's a problem. You would do a better job. If you had, your signature selling style, you could connect with more people faster with less effort. So selling is about education. So if selling is about education, and if selling is about leading, then at the end of the day, the professor educates on the problem and then says, here's how we solve it, and breaks it down so the person understands it. And that's really good. Now, the challenge with the professor signature selling style is, depending on the buyer profile, whom they're speaking to, some folks don't really care about all of the details. They don't care about that. They want a faster connection to how it best serves them. They want a faster connection to how they can use it now. So while they're using education, sometimes they get tuned out. Have you ever been talking to someone and you were engrossed and they kind of zoned out, not because you weren't interested, but because their brain cut off because they couldn't see what you were talking about or they couldn't hear what you were talking about. And that's why the story is so important, to keep the connection going on. So if you're the professor signature selling style and you like to use education as a way to move people to action, as a way to connect, go ahead, look right below the video, and write the word professor. Write the word professor. Now, this is very, very important. Now, you think about some people that might be like that, right? Some of you know one of my colleagues, Trevor Ott, and he loves to teach. Teaching is what he does. He argues that he's not the professor signature selling style. Although if you know him, you will say, no, he has to tell you exactly step by step first before you get to the end. And if that's you, good. Hey, congratulations. But no, there's a plus and a minus. Tune in. Go ahead, right now. Look, no, write professor, right? If that's you, write professor. If you didn't write marketer, write marketer. If you didn't write evangelist, write evangelist. If intuitive is you, if professor is you, write which one is you. Put it down right now. And if none of these resonate, don't worry. There's more. Andy, I think you mentioned that we're now going to talk about how folks can kind of find out for themselves at a much deeper level. I know we're chatting now and we're kind of giving them the 10,000 foot view so they have an understanding. And for some of you, it's an introduction. You're like, I had no idea this even existed. I'm so glad. Now I can tell my story. Now I don't have to worry about trying to sell them and influence them and persuade them and be arm twisting. I can just be who I am. Yes! Are you saying yes? If you're saying yes, do it. Just say yes. Do it. No, I can hear you. Yes. Yes. Or give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up right now. I see. Andy, tell them now how they can take the quiz for the story signature selling style. And then I'll come back, Andy, and I'm going to tell them how they can take the quiz for the sales signature selling style. I'm going to suggest every single one you get ready, because I'm going to turn it over to Andy. And if nothing else, do me a favor. This would be a good use of your time. Take the quiz. I'll say it again. Take the quiz. I'm going to say it for the last time. If there's one gift that you all could give me, and it's not even Christmas yet, okay? But I like early Christmases, okay? It would be that every single one you watch it, no matter when you get a chance to see this, if you got your hand on this long lost video for some reason, take the quiz. All right, Andy, talk to them about it.
Fantastic. So here's the real cool thing. So we've been learning a lot so far, right? We've been breaking down the signature selling styles, the signature story styles. And so far, we broke down 2 of the actual storytelling styles. We talked about the marketer, AKA open loop storyteller. And then we also talked about, and this is one I really love, which is the evangelist, the heart-centered storyteller. So you might be saying, well, Andy, which one am I? Now, mind you, there's 5 in total. And so I want you to go ahead and take this quiz. This is a 1-minute quiz. But what I want you to do is I want you at least right now to get the link. So here's what I want you to do. Just pull out your cell phone right now, get your cell phone right here, go to where your text messages are, and I want you to text the word story, just story, S-T-O-R-Y. Now, I know people try to be fancy and they put in more words. The only word I want you to put in the text message is the word story. You're going to text the word story to the telephone number 954-278-3701. Once again, you're going to text the word story to the telephone number 954-278-3701. Now, when are you going to do this? You're going to do this right now, because I watch people all the time. They have the intentions on taking the quiz, and then they write it down and they say, oh, I'll do it later, and then they get rid of the piece of paper or they forget to do it. So that's why I'm telling you to go ahead and text, because you can do that right now. All you're going to do is you're going to text the word story. So where you would normally say hi to a friend, how you doing? Just put the word story, S-T-O-R-Y, story, and then you're going to text it to the telephone number 954-278-3701. Now, after you do that, you're going to get the first prompt, which is going to ask you for your email address, and then the second one is going to send you the link for the quiz. So you're going to get the link to be able to take the quiz in 2 places. That's why I want you to do the text. You're going to get it in your phone via text message in the event. For some reason you forget, you're also going to get it via email. So you're going to have the link to take the quiz in both your text message as well as your email. Now, here's the good news. The quiz only is going to take you 1 minute. It's going to take you 1 minute to take the quiz, and you are going to go ahead and get your results instantly, and you're going to get a customized video from me walking you through your results right after you take the quiz. The other great news is, after you take the quiz, you are also going to get access to a complimentary training, a video training. So if you've been enjoying the information I've been sharing with you so far, along with Shay Brown, then right after you take the quiz, you're going to get access to a really, really cool training that's going to help you to be able to identify what your signature story is. Like, people have been ranting and raving over this actual training, and I want you to take advantage of it. But before you can do that, you got to take advantage of the free quiz. Text the word story to 954-278-3701. As a matter of fact, once you do that and you at least see that the text message is working, do us a favor in the chat, say it's working, it's working, it's working. That's your way of letting us know that you sent in the text and you at least received the text that asks you for your email address, and that you put in your email address and you've gotten the text that gives you the actual link to the quiz. And you can go ahead and take the quiz right when we're done. And we can't wait. Matter of fact, we want you to come back in here and tell us what your results are. Now, that's to take the storytelling quiz. Now, here's the cool thing. Shay is about to tell you how you can also go ahead and take advantage of the signature sales style quiz. So this is what's really, really cool. Hand in hand, you're going to know exactly what you are before today ends. So Shay, I'm going to send it back over to you, champion.
Absolutely, man. And for those folks that are out there, the only folks that should really worry about taking the signature selling style are the individuals that want to connect with their clients faster. They want to make sure that they can have shorter, briefer meetings. And the folks that really want to go after larger deals, but more importantly, solve bigger problems. And if that's you out there and you're listening right now, and or you are building your sales team, you're like, well, Shay, what type of salesperson should I hire? Shay, what type of sales organization should I have? Shay, you know what? I've been just doing this and winging it myself based on some books and YouTube videos that I've been watching. So I never knew, but now is my time. That this is my year, and I'm ready to generate the revenue that I need in my business so I can purchase the resources that are necessary to execute the big vision I have for the people I was called to serve. And that vision I have, Shay, is so much bigger than me, and I need resources to purchase the marketing. I need resources to purchase a VA, a virtual assistant. I need resources right now to buy these automation tools. I need the moolah, but I want to serve. I want to add value, and I want to change lives. If that's you, let us show you how you can do that faster for you, so your videos are more effective, your master classes are more effective, and your one-on-one sessions that you're having are much more effective. Do me a favor, get your cell phone out right now. Get your cell phone right out now, And I'm going to make it really easy. You're going to just text the word style. Text the word, I think I got it somewhere else. Text the word style to 202-270-1662. Now, why would you text? Like, don't write it down. That's so 19. Get your phone out, open up the browser, and type up 202-270-1662, which is a good idea. And I might even use a Word document and put a big one on for your number there. I was thinking about that while you were talking, man. But text the word style, S-T-Y-L-E, to 202-270-1662. Now, when you do that, include your first name. I'm requiring that. Include your last name and include your best email address. Some of you want to get the text. I get it. You're like, okay, Shay, I'm seeing intuitive signature selling style. I'm seeing professor signature selling style. I'm seeing marketer. I'm seeing evangelist. I see that these are the styles, but I really don't know where I land. And if I don't know where I land as a leader, and some of you right now, honestly, you're the number one salesperson. No, seriously. Like in your company, although when you became an entrepreneur, you didn't become an entrepreneur to become the number one salesperson, but when you look up right now, you're the number one salesperson. And you're like, so how do I sharpen my skills, Shay? How do I get better at what I say, when I say it, and how do I say it? How do I do that? Well, learn your signature selling style. So text the word style to 202-270-1662. Include your first name, include your last name, include your best email, and so you can learn your signature selling style. And I promise to you, not only will you learn it, but we're going to customize it for you so you can see how you can apply it to the people you were called to serve and how you can share it in your organization so that the team knows their signature selling style. So now you're not only the number one salesperson, but your team is able to convert more as well. Andy, I'm going to turn it back over here. Erna says she's out there and she did text story already and got a response back. So they're out there, Andy. They're taking action. Andy says 2 thumbs up for those folks out there. Give us 2 thumbs up right now. 2 thumbs up. Yes. This is your time. Now, don't take action if you're like, I'm just sure to be entertained. It's okay. You'll be entertained. Shad's sure to be intellectually stimulated. You'll be intellectually stimulated. But for those folks that know that this is your year, and you've already wrote it down like, Shay, now is the time. What time is it? Now is the time. Make sure you do myself and Andy a favor. In all seriousness, it's not about Andy. It's not about me. Please learn your story signature selling style and learn your sales signature selling style. Why? Because it's the fastest, easiest way that I know to really grow your business. Andy, back over you. I know that you gave 2 of the 5 out there. You gave earlier the marketer who has open loop going on out there, the evangelist out there that's heart-centered. I'm curious. I sit back. I'm like, okay, what's possibly left? I mean, you said there's 5. Can you share one more?
I'm going to jump into one more, but let me just say this, you guys. I'm just thinking about, there's so many folks right now that, their regular routine, their businesses have really just been shifted. And I think that when it comes down to it, those that are really going to have the competitive advantage are the ones that really have these interpersonal skills. And it's just the ability to just be able to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, get them to see the value in your products and your services, how they can benefit from them so that they can easily be able to make a decision. Also, we know that now the majority of all of our audiences, our prospects, our potential clients are online. But there's a lot of people online. There's a whole lot of noise. And you've got to be able to cut through the noise. And I believe that what's going to really help you to be able to cut through the noise is your ability to be able to get people's attention, keep their attention, and then get them to see the value in what it is that you have to offer. And by far, the best tool to do that is to really get great at being able to share powerful strategic stories. And so that's why I just think you're brilliant by being here. And hopefully you are one of those individuals that you want to attract more people to your business. You want to get better at promoting your products and your services. You want to be able to increase your conversion rate. You want to give yourself a competitive advantage as you close out this year and build momentum going into the next year. And if that's you, these are 2 skill sets that you absolutely have to develop. You want to become masterful at sales, and you want to become masterful at being able to share and tell stories. You know, it's the whole reason that when I was thinking about branding my training, we called it the Master Storyteller Academy, because we want people to become master storytellers. And I believe if you were to ask Shay as well, he'll tell you want people to become absolutely masterful at sales. And that's one of those things that's so important. So let's talk about the third one. And I think this is where I'm going to stop. I'm going to give you one more, but I do want you to take the quiz, because then you'll be able to see what all of them are. And then most importantly, so you can identify where you're at, what are the pros, what are the things that are working for you with this style, and then where are the areas that you need to improve. So the next storytelling style we're going to refer to is what we refer to as the juggler. I want you to envision I got some balls in my hand, right? A juggler, aka the accidental storyteller. The juggler, aka accidental storyteller. So who is this person? This is the person that you have run into several times at a social setting. You're at a social setting, you were standing perhaps in the area by the bar. Hopefully you were maybe just having a drink of water or having yourself a Diet Coke or a Pepsi or a Sprite or something, right? And then there's somebody else who just starts talking to you. And all of a sudden now they've got you held captive. And every single time they start a thought, they don't get very far, and then they go on to something else. And the next thing you know, they have trapped you and cornered you for about 15 to 20 minutes, and they have shared a lot of incomplete stories with you. And as a matter of fact, most of the time, they never really even got into a real true story. And so this person, what happens is every thought that comes to mind, they sort of just go in and they start talking. And unfortunately, they never really clearly make their points. Now, the reason why we call this person an accidental storyteller is because most of the time this person doesn't even tell a story. And when they do, it was completely by accident, and it probably wasn't very well done, right? So we refer to this person as the juggler, the accidental storyteller. This is the person when you're out, you're like, oh my gosh, this person must have had some drinks, right? And then the scariest part is when you say, I'm sorry, I just want to ask, have you had some drinks today or tonight? And they say to you, no, I actually haven't drank at all. You're like, oh my gosh, you mean this is really the way that you communicate? This is really the way that you talk? You have had me cornered for 15, 20 minutes, and you start a thought, you don't complete it, you're not telling stories. So one of my mentors that I talk about all the time is Les Brown. And one of the things he shared with me a long time ago, he said, hey, young man, never make a point without telling a story, and never tell a story without making a point. And that resonated with me. He said, never make a point without telling a story, never tell a story without making a point. And so I want you to think about this accidental storyteller. Number one, oftentimes they have no idea what point they want to make. And then the other thing is they've never really put some thought into, man, if I want this thought to really land, what's a good story that I could share? And so when we want to give ourselves a competitive advantage, the reason why if you're the accidental storyteller, the juggler, that you want to get some training and you want to improve this area of skill, because we want you to start thinking in terms of, number one, when you're going to open your mouth, what is the point that I want to make? And then because you want that point to really resonate with people, what's the story that I can share that's going to help that point to really resonate? When I get on stage to deliver a keynote or I'm speaking in front of a group and I'm going to be entertaining them as well as educating them, I'm always trying to figure out what are the points that I want to make, but then what are the powerful, compelling stories that I'm going to share to really be able to deliver that point. And so it is so critical for the accidental storyteller, the juggler, that number one, they get clarity on what it is that they want to talk about, and then they make sure that they actually put a story together and it's a well-constructed story. So the accidental storyteller, the juggler, quite honestly, has a lot of room for improvement. Now, the good thing about an accidental storyteller, though, however, they don't overthink things, right? Thoughts come to their mind and they just speak it. Now, there's something to be said about that, the fact that they don't overthink things, right? They don't make things more difficult than they need to be, whereas someone who's really analytical. However, we do need them to put some structure. We do need to get that grounded so that they really are able to be way more effective, right? So for those of you that are just now joining us, by the way, you are joining, of course, the one and only Shay Brown and Andy Henriquez, and we have just been having an awesome conversation, really talking about, number one, the signature sales style, right, which is Shay Brown, the absolute sale guru, is covering that. And then we're also talking about your signature storytelling style. And for those of you meeting me for the first time, Andy Henriquez, founder of the Master Storyteller Academy. And so Shay has also done a fantastic job of we created a visual. We want you to go ahead and write a T. You got sales on one style, story on one style. We've given you 3 storytelling styles: the marketer, aka open loop storyteller, the evangelist, the heart-centered storyteller, as well as the juggler, the accidental storyteller. And on the sales side, so far Shay has covered the intuitive selling style as well as the professor. And I'm going to kick it over to him so that he can go ahead and introduce you to one more signature selling style. Shay Brown, my man, let's hear the third one.
You know, I was really excited, Andy, because all of these are important. You have 5 signature selling styles, and if I gave you 5 days, you still couldn't cover them all. And I have seven signature selling styles, and I don't think we can cover them in 7 days, but you've done a really good job, man, putting together the 3 that you shared. And for those folks that haven't taken the quiz yet, Andy, give them the number again. I tried to write it down. I thought you was doing a short one, and it got long on me, so I didn't get a chance to write it down. But they may have missed being able to take the quiz, which I believe you said is just 1 minute. I know Wanda says she's taking the quiz, and she's truly an evangelist. Wanda who's watching out there, Erna says she's on it right now. And Barbara Patterson. Barbara, thanks for joining in right now. So Andy, if they're tuning in right now, just real quick, tell them what's the number to text the word quiz to, where they can take this 1 minute quiz, and at the same time they'll get a text back. There's also an email, I believe, that's sent to them. So some people, like myself, they still like to get things on email, so I understand that.
Yeah, so here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna text the word story. That's it. You're gonna text the word story to the telephone number 954-278-3701. Once again, you're gonna text the word story. That's it. Don't put anything else in there. Story to the telephone number 954-278-3701. Now, once you do that, you'll receive a response back that's going to say, hey, good, you're only 1 step away. As a matter of fact, I can read to you exactly what it's going to tell you because I did it myself just to sort of make sure it's working. It's going to say, please reply with your email address to get access to the Storyteller quiz and find out your storyteller style. And right after you put in your email address, you're going to get the link both via text message as well as in your email so that you can go ahead and take the quiz. The quiz is going to take you nothing more than a minute. But what you want to do, in addition to taking the quiz, after you take the quiz, you're going to get access to a free complimentary training, which is a 15-minute training in which I'm going to help you to be able to identify what your signature story is, which is really, really critical because every major entrepreneur, influencer, speaker, coach, and even a person in transition needs a powerful signature story so that they can position themselves in the marketplace to attract their ideal customer and client, so that they can get better at talking about their products and their services, so that they can increase their conversion rate. And so if you've been getting a lot of value from us right now, this is only the beginning, and that's why you want to make sure you take advantage of the quizzes and you take advantage of any additional materials and training that we make available to you, because we simply want to do this so that, number one, we can make sure that we empower those of you. And then let's be honest, we know that there are some of you right now that the thing that's keeping you from the next level is that you know that you need to improve in your sales, and you also know that you need to strengthen your messaging. Those are 2 areas that you know that you need to improve on. And so we know we do this, we're creating value for everybody, but we always know that there's going to be some people who are listening in that you are our assignment, meaning that you know that you are like, man, I really need to make sure that I work with Andy. I need to attend his Master Storyteller Academy. Or you're going to be like, my goodness, I know I need to work with Shay Brown and maybe even have him help me to build out my sales team because he's a sales team guru. And they're so great at helping you to be able to build out your sales team and get your sales process going. And so we know that this naturally, organically happens. And so that's why we show up to serve, to add value, but also to find the people who are our assignment. But you want to take advantage of everything that we have, because we would love for you to be empowered closing out this year and to build momentum going into the new year. The last thing that you want to do is start putting life on hold and start having next year conversations when this year is not done. It's the biggest mistake that I watch entrepreneurs make, thought leaders, people who are in transition, is to start having a next year conversation prematurely. We still got time left in this year. And this is the time to lean in. This is the time to get the education, the knowledge, and the things that you need to have, which is why we are so excited you're spending this time with us. So, Shay, tell me, man, what is your third signature selling style, my friend?
I'm super excited. I'm going to give you the third signature of 7 signature selling styles. For those folks out there that didn't get a chance to text the word style earlier to me, make sure you text the word style. And then I'll text the word style so you will get your cell phone number out. And yes, you get a chance to learn your signature selling style. Yes, you get a chance to have it customized for you directly. And yes, you have an opportunity to really make more sales with less effort and connect much faster. Text the word style to 202-270-1662. Style right now to 202-270-1662. Include your first name, so I know who you are. Please include your last name and include your best contact. Right now, do that right now. Again, 202-270, got to text the word style, of course. Text the word style to 202-270-1662. First name, last name, email. You got that. I'm looking forward to connecting, looking forward to seeing you. You know, I wish I could get into 7 of these signature selling styles, but I don't have time to get into that. But I want to make sure that I get into, there we go. I want to make sure I get into the rock star selling style. Because Andy, while we have the heart-centered selling style, Andy, we have another one that's the rock star selling style. And the reason I wanted them to know this is, not most, but many of you, when I describe the rock star signature selling style, you can say, that's me. This is me. Now, they're all you, I get it, depending on who your style is. But for someone out there, I'm speaking directly to you because you use your personal charisma in order to drive people to action. You use your personal charisma in order for them to drive people to action. Because you've been taught that people do business with people they like and trust. So you say, I got to have this high likability factor so it fits your style well because you say, look at me, I'm doing it. Look what others have done. And that's called the rock star signature selling style. I'm going to write that down. Now, how do you know if you're the rock star signature selling style? Like right now, take out a piece of paper. I'm going to tell you how you know this is you. And just put down rock star, baby. You're a rock star. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. That's right. It is what it is. Thanks for finishing that sentence. I appreciate that. The rock star signature selling style. You think of a Tony Robbins. You think of a Eric Thomas. You think of folks out there like that you get connected and you feel the energy. You feel the sincerity. Yeah, there's the connection. But here's how you know if you're the rock star. This separates the rock star from what I would call the heart-centered selling style. Is the rock star is going to say, take a look. Not only what I've done, but how I've been able to help other folks. And they kind of put themselves in there all the time. They're always right there, and they're the rock star. So you're like, wait a minute, I want to be like that person right there. No. I want to do what they've done. No. If they've done it, I can do it. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But you have this charisma, and then you might say, Shay, I have natural swag. Anyway, I get it. You're cool, suave, and debonair. I know that's you. I'm talking to you. But see, the rock star, they are like a magnet. And that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. But I told you life is full of dualities. There's high highs, there's low lows, there's peaks, there's valleys, there's twists and there's turns. There's a lot going on. So there's another side to the rock star. It's a big challenge. I was working with a client recently that is the rock star signature selling style. And they're good. Very good. And people love what they're able to produce. But the challenge they had connecting with another audience is they didn't know they were the rock star signature selling style, so they couldn't play to their strength and then look at where their secondary is to kind of up their weakness a little area. Is what they heard more often is people are like, I like what they did, but I don't want to do it like that. I'm not trying to make that sacrifice. I'm not trying to give up my family. I'm not trying to lay it all on the line. And do you know what they hear most? Here's what they hear. There has to be an easier way. You don't have to do it like that. And it's not a good thing or bad thing. I mean, each of these, as Andy talked about earlier, they all have pluses and minuses. It's like life. Nobody's perfect. But imagine if you're the rock star signature selling style and you were now able to take your style, combine it with your story. You're able to communicate in a way that the other person is able to hear you and relate to you. And you're able not only to move them to action, but be able to establish that trust and rapport. And that's where the rock star misses it oftentimes. That's where they miss it. They're nice people, you like them. They have charisma. Who doesn't like them? That's why they call it charisma. But the other side of it is sometimes they're unable to communicate that charisma, those fundamentals, and exactly what they've done. They just say, look at me. If I've done it, you can do it. Come on, come on, come on. And you have to believe in them. And everybody's not believing in the person. Oftentimes they're believing in the system. They're believing in the methodology. They're believing in what they're capable of doing. So if that's you out there and you're listening, look right below the video, put a rock star. You can still be proud now. You can be proud. Don't go, oh, I'm the rock star. No, I'm the rock star, baby. So go ahead and look right below the video. Now, if these resonate with you, go ahead and look right below the video. You might be like, okay, I know my style. But the reason I'm glad that Andy talked about the quiz earlier, and the reason I'm glad that he said he had the training is that after you know your rock star or you know your sales signature selling style, in your story signature selling style, now you can take that information with you and you can be more powerful. You can be more persuasive. You can be more influential, and you're able to use that with what you have. That's power. I mean, I always say that selling is power, selling is power, selling is power. But the question is, what is selling power to do? It's the power to connect. It's the power to drive folks to action. It's the power to have more meaning. It's the power to have more impact. And as my good friend Delatorre McNeil would say, it's the power to make $1 and a difference at the same time. If that's you and you want to make $1 and a difference, you can take all your signature selling styles right here, your sales and your story signature selling styles. You're not going to manipulate anybody, but you're going to make $1 and a difference. If that's you, let me know that you want to serve. Let me know you're paying attention. Drop a 1. I know y'all on different platforms watching all over the world, but wherever you're watching, if you're live and you can see the video, some of you are listening to a podcast right now, but drop a number 1. That's a signal, a number 1, that I'm here to serve. And I'm going to come back up to you. I know we're coming down the home stretch, about to close this out, but you drop a number 1 right below the video, and you make sure you hit the share button. Just share. If you shared it before, share it again, because the world needs to know their story signature selling style, and they need to know their sales signature selling style, so we can all make a bigger difference. Over to you, Andy.
You know, great job, Shay. Let me tell you this. So here's the thing that we know when we talk about making a bigger difference. One of the things that really keeps us from making a bigger difference is, number one, we don't have a very clear message in the marketplace. So like, you're like, man, you know, I'm excited about my products and services, but when I get out there to talk to people about my products and services, they don't seem to get as excited as I get when I'm talking about my products and services. So when that's the case, you normally have a messaging problem, and you normally got to strengthen your story, right? Now, the other problem is you're like, man, I actually do get in front of my ideal customer and client. Like, I got an opportunity to speak in front of an audience, or I got an opportunity to meet with a prospect. I spoke to them. I did the presentation, Shay. I thought it was great, and then they didn't buy. So normally that means you have a conversion problem. So you got to also increase your ability and capacity to be able to sell, right? So we got to figure out what's going on there so that you can improve those things. But here's what's interesting. In both of those cases, they both include sales and they include storytelling, which is one of those things that's really critical. Now, the other thing is that we both often hear is that, well, I know I should. I should be doing webinars. I should be doing Facebook Lives. I should be doing things where I'm speaking to a group of people, and then maybe perhaps you avoid doing it. And normally that's also because of a lack of confidence, right? The confidence isn't there, but guess what makes you more confident? Getting the skills, getting the training, learning how to get better at telling stories, and learning how to get better at being able to sell, right? So that's why these things go hand in hand, and that's why Shay and I were like, look, we got to do this. We did this once. The feedback was ridiculous, so we decided we had to go ahead and do this again. So listen, the way both of us are wired, like, we could go nonstop. We would want to keep unpackaging all this for you, But I think at this point, you've gotten a tremendous amount of value. And the most important thing is that we want you to do from here is this. Number one, want to make sure that you take both of the quizzes. Make sure that you take the storytelling style quiz as well as the signature selling style quiz. So we're going to make sure before we end this that you also get the information so that you can do both of those. Number one, right? The other thing is we want those of you that, you're really hungry, you're eager to get to the next level. We want to make sure that you find out what the next step is so that you can get more information. If we got training, free training, take advantage of the free training. If there's an opportunity for you to get on a phone call, maybe perhaps because you want to learn more about how to build a sales team, maybe perhaps because you want to learn how to put together your signature storytelling style. Listen, this idea that, opportunity is going to come find you, right? That your mentor and coach is going to bust through the door and give you the play-by-play. No, you have to raise your hand. You got to make yourself be seen. And oftentimes you got to be the one to initiate the next step, right? And so figure out what the next step is so that you get an opportunity, if you want to, right? And this is not going to be for everybody, to continue the conversation with Shay around the sales and continue the conversation with me around the storytelling. And so in both cases, you'll be talking to either one of us or somebody on our team. The other thing is this, pay it forward. If you've been getting a lot of value from this conversation and what we've shared here, if you've taken like one piece of note down, right? If you got one epiphany, one thing came to mind, like by all means, don't just watch this and then not share it. Share it. So whether you're watching us now live or you're watching the replay, if you got something from this, hit the share button, share it with a friend, share it with a family member, share it with somebody that you know that could improve from sales or becoming a better communicator. And that should be just about anybody that you know who's looking to up level their game. So I do want to go ahead and share some of those. Like this is what really excites us, right? Is to have this opportunity to hang out with all of you, to create value. We go back and actually look at the comments and read the comments. So please make sure you leave a comment. So I'm going to tell you one more time how you can take the storyteller quiz, especially if you jumped in late and you haven't already done so. For those of you who've been with us the whole time, hopefully you already did this. But if you haven't, here's all you're going to do. You can take my free 1-minute quiz and also open up and get access to this really, really cool, powerful training that I did to help you to figure out what's your signature story. Now, mind you, once again, this is for those of you that you're like, Andy, I'm having success, but I want to up-level my game. I want to have a better and clearer message in the marketplace because I want to attract more people to my products and services. Or, I've been getting in front of people, but I really wish I could do a better job at converting them. Or, I know I should be doing Facebook Lives, I should be doing webinar. I need more confidence and more clarity to do so. That's who wants to make sure that they take this quiz. And if that's you, all you're going to do is you're going to text the word story to 954-278-3701. Once again, you're going to text the word story to the telephone number 954-278-3701. Right after you text that, you're going to receive a reply. The reply is going to ask you for your email address. And the reason why we do that is because we're going to send you the link both in your phone via text, and we're also going to send it to you email to make sure that you take the quiz. The quiz is going to take you nothing more than a minute. If you are a slow quiz taker, it might take you a minute and a half. And then you'll get your results, you'll get a customized video, and then you'll also get access to a really cool training, my Story Finder method, so that you can figure out exactly what your signature story is. And so I want you also to make sure that you're going to text the word style. I'm going to have Shay go ahead and pull that up for me. You're going to text the word style to the telephone number 202-270-1662. And then after you text the word style to that telephone number, you're going to be requested to put in your first name, last name, as well as your email. Just follow the prompts. And the real cool thing is you're going to be able to take the quiz so that you can figure out what your signature selling style is. So once again, you're going to text the word style to the telephone number 202-270-1662. And then you're going to follow the prompts. You're going to be instructed to put in your name, your first name, last name, email address. And then, of course, you'll get access to be able to take the quiz. So you want to make sure you do both of those so that you can go ahead and figure out what your signature storytelling style is, as well as your signature selling style. because it's going to create so much value for you so that you can up level what you are doing. Shay, I'll send it back over to you, my man.
Hey, and I just want to say two things. One, for those folks out there, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. For every single one of y'all who hit the share button, we appreciate it, by the way. And for those of you who hit the watch party button, we appreciate it. For those that made a comment below, we appreciate every single one of you, because without you, Andy and I would be talking to ourselves. But more importantly, we'd be telling stories to ourselves, right? But more importantly, thanks for sharing it. There's someone out there right now, and it might be you. You know that you have the potential inside of you to perform at a much higher level than whatever level you're performing at right now. And in superstars, and I believe all the winners out there, all my champions out there, all my game changers, all the folks out there that just know that you're a superstar. Superstars all hold one common belief. Do you know what that belief is? I'll tell you. They hold a belief that they can always get better. And so when you text the word quiz to, what's the number again, Andy?
They're going to text the word story.
I'm sorry. Text the word story to what number again?
954-278-3701. Once again, they're going to text the word story to 954-278-3701.
Follow the prompts. And with those folks that text the word style to 202-701662. Again, text the word style to 202-701662. Include your first name, your last name, your best contact number, and email. And we're looking forward to connecting with you and customize it. With that being said, Andy, it's always a treat and a treasure, man. I'm excited to be here with you, man. I can't wait till we connect again. I love when we're able to have these type of conversations and not be in a dark room. Not be in a private room that nobody can be here, but to have you the viewer out there, to have you be able to eavesdrop and watch on this conversation is really amazing. So looking forward to connecting with all of you, by the way. Thanks a lot, Andy. I know you got to do some things over there, take care of the family, and make sure you continue to take care of everyone out there. Looking forward to y'all taking that quiz. I can't wait to next time you show up, you put in, here's my story style. Woo! I can't wait till y'all do that. Or you put in, here's my selling style. Well, y'all don't get all juiced up about selling style, but I'm making some money because I know my signature selling style, Shay. You can just send me a private message. That was between me, you, and the power of these fiber optic lines. Anyway, Andy, we got to go. Thank you guys a lot, man. We appreciate you. With that being said, that's Andy Henriquez, master storyteller on the other side. My name, for those folks that are curious, is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. So remember, time is long. Life is short. You got to live in the moment. You got to make it count. Make it count. God bless. All right, Andy, we out of here, man. Peace.
All right.
We'll see y'all later, man.
Everybody.
Peace. We gone.
Thanks for hanging out.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.